Good morning, everyone. Today is Wednesday, April 14th, and welcome to another wonderful day in Aries season. Sometimes you gotta make 3 mistakes before you can get things right. All in the spirit of Aries. How are y'all doing? Welcome. It is midweek at this point now. Feels definitely like the week just began and already we're halfway through it. Funny how quickly our perspective of things change. But speaking of perspective, let's take a perspective look at the transits for today. Jesus, words are just slipping over each other and everything. So we are finally out of that moon in Scorpio. I feel like we've been in there for a couple days, and by this point we're like, okay, yeah, bro, we love you and goodbye, hasta luego, and we are out. So Moon in Sagittarius, a little bit more free-flowing, definitely going with the flow, being optimistic, having a little more faith in things around you, seeing the bigger picture of everything you're engaged with, and just, trying to expand your horizons and the direction that you are going with. And as we say direction, we need to take a look at the fact that the moon is going to be opposing Athena. Now, Moon Athena very much being a very defensive planet here, sitting in the hashtag petty gang of Gemini, in which Gemini uses their words as a mean of communication, and at times that communication isn't always very nice. So definitely words can be used as a form of offensive against others. Now, just as a weapon can be used offensively, it can also be used defensively, and Athena here definitely shines, using the power of words to be able to defend herself against the forces of those trying to fuck with her. All right, so there's a bit of a mental kind of disagreement of how to go about all of this, but at the end of the day, there's something to be said about being able to use the power of words to protect your mental freedom. Yeah, we'll go with freedom. The freedom of being able to see beyond just the normal physical realm, as well as being able to go along with plans that you may have already set in motion. Now, obviously, that is one of many aspects that I want to talk about. Excuse me, that is not the correct one. I have many of aspects, and I don't remember which one I wanted to talk about. There we go. All right, so we get our first little wedge going on here, in which the moon is going to be trining Chiron. Now, obviously, this is a very beneficial aspect, even though they're in different elements. They are of the same modality, so they're both very mutable, right? Your moon here can definitely be more willing to see things in a different light, to see things in a different attitude, right? We're dealing with two mutable signs here that generally square each other, but because of their difference in element right now, they're kind of actually trining each other. Or not, yeah, well, not technically the same element would be trining each other, but right now they're just like one's at the end of the sign and one's at the beginning of the sign. So because of the closeness of degrees, they are trining, right? They're trining. And so this is very much a very beneficial aspect for us to be able to get our emotional feelings, if you will, our emotional ties in regards to those areas in our life in which we're definitely suffering and wanting to really end those cycle and bring conclusion, and just prepare ourselves to really start anew. You have the ability to be able to really radically shift the way that you go about that. Now, how do we go about that, right? Well, the potential energy that we see available here is this Chiron sextile Athena. So again, you're looking for your direction. You're looking for your chariot, where you're going to go. Because again, Athena rides her chariot into battle. But she doesn't battle other people for the sake of necessarily being victorious and pulling out on top and being the strongest there is out there. She does it for the reasons of wanting to defend her position. You know, Athena isn't just a goddess of, defensive war and tactics, but more along the sides of knowledge and wisdom, making her a bit more Sagittarian than Capricorn. This is very good because she can draw in from that Sagittarian moon energy to really come up with creative solutions on how to change our direction, our emotional direction towards this Chiron that we are trying very desperately to curve, essentially, and come to a better consensus with. So that's one of the 4 potential energies today. We actually, like I said, we got 4 potential energies. So let's go ahead and put that at the bottom and take a look at the next one here. We have with our early Sagittarian moon a inconjunct with Venus up on the top left, as you can see here. So again, in an emotional state, we're trying to understand how do we bring in a lot of this Venusian Tauran energy into ourselves. How do we make sense of this, right? Again, what does Venus represent? It represents beauty, represents luxury, represents wealth, it represents value, it represents not necessarily quality, but it's, I guess you can kind of say quality over quantity, right? Finances, connection to others, things of that nature, but especially being in Tauran, she's going to take her Tauran side a little more than her Libran side. So let's leave the connections out for now, unless we're talking about business partners. In that case, we can definitely put them in here, but definitely value and things relating to finances, things relating to materialness. But again, Taurus is also very slow and steady to win the race, and at this point of the game, she's still hard at work. She's still hard at getting her prep ready, getting her progress in. If she had a loading bar right now, she is definitely putting a bit of progress into that loading bar at a steady pace. But what does that mean for us, right? There's a bit of a square going on between Venus and Ceres here, and we're having a really difficult time in figuring out what parts of ourselves to nurture, right? What part of our own quality do we want to nurture? What do we value about ourselves? What do we place importance on about ourselves? Have we strayed too far? Have we drunk too much of the scorpionic Kool-Aid and gone too much in what we want and desired as opposed to what we value and what we put importance on? You know, Ceres is definitely here trying to figure out how to open this up to you to make you realize that perhaps the things you want aren't probably the things you should get, because you should be building a more stable foundation as you move forward. And so, you know, Ceres here is going to depend on assistance from the moon to be able to help you emotionally figure out, that's what's important in my life. That's what I value about either myself or other people. That's what I should be focusing on instead of, you know, the thing that you may want or like the most. And definitely with the sun in Aries, there's a desire to be very authentic with who you are. So keep that in mind as you move forward here. Again, your emotional state is going to help you decide really what is valuable, what is worth keeping around you, and really what is not, and what should be cleaned out. We should be, you know, thrown out into the curve. Now, I said we do have 4 energies here, so let's keep moving on a little bit. We do have a it's not exactly a very tight energy here, but it's definitely building up. We have our sun trining the north node, so this is kind of a little passive buff under the ground to let you know that you are trying your best to really move into the direction you want to be going to in life right now. And, you know, overall, you're doing a really good job. Like, all of us really want to really step up our game and move into the type of future that is going to be conducive for ourselves. And at the moment, it happens to be a very Leonin energetic future that we want to move into as we now descend the latter half of Leo, or the first half of Leo, really. But, you know, we've crossed that 15 degree mark, and we're now down to 12 as far as the North Node is concerned. So we're definitely finishing up Leo, and as soon as we're done with Leo, we will be moving into Cancer later next year. So very good energetic in getting us to move forward, and with that Sun trining it definitely gives a bit more desire to move into that step. But what's the problem, right? Why is this going on? What's the things that's presenting us that haven't really been working so well for us? And that, of course, is the Sun squaring Saturn and Mars here. So again, we have a desire to move into the future, but we don't have an idea of how to do so ourselves. What is the actions that we need to be taking? And so Saturn is lending his help here, conjuncting Mars before retrograding, to really help us figure out what actions we need to be taking in order to move forward once this Mercury retrograde comes to an end. And it's going to be those actions that are going to help us move into the future that we want to go into. That's why the inconjunct here is between Mars and the North Node. We need to figure out what actions we need to be taking to be able to take the proper steps forward. Now, I do want to address that there is a Saturn square Mercury going on right now at the same degree, only 30 minutes apart. Again, this is the learning opportunity of the Mercury retrograde right now. This is the second time that Mercury retrograde makes some sort of aspect with Saturn. The last time that Mercury went retrograde and it made an aspect with Saturn was during December, when Mercury literally began to retrograde on the last degree of Sagittarius while conjunct Saturn. So again, both of these Mercury retrogrades have been in some form or another aspecting Saturn. And this time around, it's a bit more of a harsh lesson that needs to be learned because of that difficult, challenging aspect. Is it necessarily going to be a hard pill to swallow? Not necessarily. It depends how you go about learning your lesson, and the more smoother transitions you have, the easier it will be for you. Generally, the number one rule we always say is to not really go against what Saturn's wishes are. There's a reason why the higher powers give us this lesson to go through, and listen, be the eternal student, and listen to what it is that they will have you do. And again, with squaring Mercury, this is about yourself, your thoughts, especially because it's an Aries. These are your own personal thoughts, the way that you're taking information and you're communicating it out to the world, your own environment, the people that you know, those that are close to you, that are local to you. There is definitely a learning opportunity here in figuring out what needs to be understood before being able to move forward again. And then last but not least, we have the aspect of Vesta in conjunct Athena, while Athena is sextiling Chiron and Chiron is squaring Vesta. Now, again, Vesta in Capricorn is a little bit different than Vesta in Sagittarius, and I know we haven't been talking too much about Vesta in Capricorn since she recently ingressed. Vesta in Capricorn is a very devoted lady. She is the fire keeper, she is the fire bearer. She will make sure that she accomplishes her task, whether she needs to sacrifice something or not to get it done. She has committed to this task, and she is not one to easily back down. She realized all that she needed to learn during her pilgrimage in Sagittarius season. And I call it a pilgrimage because that's exactly what Vesta was doing. She was reaffirming her belief, or if her belief was mistaken, she then adopted that which she found to be more true to herself. Now that she understands more about the world around her, now we can devote ourselves to the tasks that need to be completed. And at this moment, the tasks that need to be addressed is the square that is currently happening to Chiron. Now, Vesta is in a cardinal sign, which means that we're moving forward with the times. We're not sticking to the old, right? We're moving with something new. Finishing up Sagittarius was ending kind of a season for Vesta. It was definitely coming to an end of a season. And now starting with Capricorn, Vesta is out to start anew. It's kind of like finishing high school and then moving into college. We're taking all of that which we learn, and we're going one more step up the ladder in a whole new world. And in this particular case, we're trying to solve a problem that has plagued us for some time, which is the Chiron that is in Pisces. Now, the best way to deal with all of this is going to be with Vesta again. Not Vesta, with Athena. Athena's playing a major role in Gemini right now, and y'all should really be paying close attention to what Vesta is trying to do and communicate, because Athena has a lot of things going on at the moment, and one of those big ones is really trying to find the direction. And finding direction involves using words because it's in Gemini, but also communication, right? This is about being in contact with others and your relationship with other people. We had the moon in Libra not so long ago, bringing up the topic of relationships as well. And even as it moves into Sagittarius, there's still this notion that relationships are still important to us, and trying to figure out how to solve this Chiron, especially because these 3 asteroids are rather slow moving, Athena being the fastest of these 3. So there's a need to find direction, right? Kind of like the speedy Gemini, Athena is scrambling through these degrees to really figure out what it is that she needs to be able to finally put the nail into the coffin that is Chiron, and put a certain part of our past behind us. And that is what Vesta here is trying to resolve. She's trying to use her expertise, her knowledge, her wisdom that was gained in Sagittarius, and definitely trying to come to a consensus to be able to heal something. Now, obviously, some of these energies are going to be with us for a little bit longer than others. This last tricolor is definitely going to be with us for quite some time now. The tricolor involving the Sun, Mars, and North Node is going to stick around for a couple more days. And anything involving the moon is going to disappear after that day. Moon transits don't normally stick around for too long. But I believe that it was important to note some of the other aspects that we've kind of have been glossing over for some time now, and I do believe they needed a bit more attention. So, that's what's going on both for today and for the next couple days. Keep a lookout in that regard. Again, if you somehow didn't quite understand some of the aspects that didn't involve the moon, go ahead and rewatch them, recheck them out, really nail down what it is those big lessons are, because we're going to be having them with us for a couple days, and you want to make sure that you don't kind of just hear it once, goes in one ear and out the other. So do your homework, do your review, make sure that you're staying on top of your game, and that you're using the daily energy as best as you can, because we have less than 2 weeks left for this Mercury retrograde to come to an end. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully today's episode has been enlightening to you guys, helpful, and for the most part, provide some sort of assistance to y'all. If you guys need some more information in regarding some of these aspects, including Vesta and Capricorn, Venus and Taurus, or even just figuring out what this full moon cycle is about in Libra, go ahead and tap any of those channels or any of those videos on screen. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with our daily astrological forecast, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We here every morning at 9 a.m. EST. And if you want to make sure you get them alerts every morning, go ahead and tap the bell icon so that you can get that on your phone or even on your PCs. With that said, though, thank you all so much for coming out. Really do appreciate you guys' support. As usual, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll catch you guys on the Thursday cast. Peace.